Well, we had another, for me, the second tour this week by air, and we saw even more clearly the vastness of the area, and as we saw in the maps with the briefing we just received, the rapid expansion of the fire due to the weather conditions. I feel as reassured as possible that everything is being done that is humanly possible to contain this, to protect the lives and safety of the citizens of Minnesota. I asked specifically at the federal level, the state level, the firefighters and those in support have everything they need, federal resources, state resources, and they assured us that they did. I also said to the DNR as a state agency that I expect that they will notify me immediately if there's anything that is needed that is not available to them. So I want citizens of Isabella and elsewhere, Lake and Cook counties, who are rightfully alarmed and concerned about the possibility of this expanding further. First of all, that the report for the short-term weather outlook is that it will be actually pushing away from them, which is good news, but there's no guarantee of that in the future. But I want them to be assured that we, four of us here, will do everything, absolutely everything, and humanly possible, federal and state resources, working in close cooperation with the county sheriffs and others at the local level to assure that we provide for the maximum safety and protection of our citizens and beyond that, their properties.
Well, I want to thank the governor for his leadership and bringing us all together here today. It was quite something to fly over that fire and see some of the areas which had been burned, completely burned to the ground, and then to see other areas where you literally saw plumes coming up, and then you go a couple mile or two, and then you see another one. So clearly this has taken erratic patterns. I want to thank the firefighters from our state and from northern Minnesota and the federal, state people that have worked together here. We now have people from all over the country, Maine, Montana, that have come in as we do to help them when they have fires in their state. So we now have over 500 firefighters here. They have a plan. Of course, the weather doesn't always comply with those plans, but so far at least there's been some containment of this major blaze, which may turn out to be the largest fire in nearly 100 years that we've seen in Minnesota. We met with some of the firefighters who've been on the ground, a number of them, a number of women firefighters who are actually out rescuing members of the public who are out camping, who actually themselves put themselves in great danger with high waves, going in on canoes to get these campers. The fires started enveloping them. They had to get under a fire blanket. Just harrowing stories. And you don't always think that because you don't have some of the fires that you see across the country with big houses going down, things like this. Here you have campers with nothing but a tent standing on a corner of a lake. And so we have some very brave firefighters already that have put themselves at risk to go in and rescue people. So I guess one of our messages that we learned out of this all was that members of the public should wait until we get the fire under control here. There are surrounding areas. We're concerned obviously about our small businesses and our outfitters, that they keep strong, and so there are areas where they can bring the people that were supposed to go in this area to make sure that they can still enjoy the weekend and a recreation experience. But our major focus right now is on getting this fire under control and putting it out. Thank you.
I really appreciate all the people who are working, and this is really an integrated effort of federal, state, and county folks, and doing an unbelievable job. It was really a harrowing story that we heard when the fire ran on Monday, and these park rangers saved.
They're right over there.
Yeah, there they are, and they saved lives. They did, and put their own lives at risk. And there was, I have to say, that we heard reports of campers who were lollygagging. That's, I think I'm quoting. Right? And don't lollygag during a fire. That's my message. But the priorities here are to keep the fire, fight the fire and contain it in anything that isn't within the wilderness area. And I think they did a great job in keeping the Fernberg area protected right at the beginning. And by doing a controlled burn and establishing a line, and there's been no property destroyed, and no, despite this harrowing event, no injuries or at least no lives lost. And one of the things we learned is that there's always an after-action review that they do after every fire. So there'll be plenty of time after this is contained and controlled to review exactly what happened. There were some very unusual circumstances that expanded the fire, but right now I have every confidence in the people who have the job of keeping this under control, and Amy and I are certainly prepared to do everything, and Chip are prepared to do everything we can on the federal level, and the governor on the state, and we talked to some of the county folks. So I feel very, very good about where we are right now. Chip?
Great. One of the worst things about going last is everything's been said. So I'd really like to thank the governor for his hospitality and bringing us up here today. A couple things struck me as well. One thing is the heroism of individuals that have really come out, and this crew over here is just hearing their story and actually meeting them today was great inspiration. So thank you again for everything that you're doing. And the other thing is the operational strategy, how we actually fight this fire. I learned a lot today about that. It's actually a battle plan, and how they're planning to contain the fire and then push it back so that people can get back into the area as quickly as possible. So the people that are working on the operational aspect are truly to be commended for everything that they've done, and we are very blessed to have individuals like this that are fighting fire today in Minnesota. So thank you very much.
We'll now entertain questions. We have a short time period, so we'll try to be as organized or focused as we can. So we have some questions from folks.
Representative Cravaak, you were quoted this morning in the Star Tribune battling to change federal law.
Yep.
Correct? When we talk about that, you said the let it burn policy is pretty ridiculous. You called it nuts.
Right. What we need to do is we need to make sure that we have the vehicles of the capability of being able to fight fires. And what we're learning today is fire suppression was started on the 26th of August. After it started from an acre, and then it started rapidly growing to a 130-acre fire. What we want to do is make sure that we have the capability to fight fires in wilderness areas, outside of wilderness areas, to make sure that those type of fires don't harm property or possibly lives.
What about the policy?
Well, that's what we're going to be taking a look at. You know, right now is not the time to be pointing fingers. Right now is the time to learn the lessons of this fire, and this is the worst fire we've had in about 100 years. So let's make sure we learn from this one, and let's prevent the next one.
And I'd add to that, I think this post-review analysis can be very important. I'm sure this happens all the times with fires, and they maybe just collects dust on a shelf. I think in this case, we're going to be very interested in looking at that and what decisions could have been made and how the policy affected that, and if there should be any changes to the policy, including some of the wood that had been left, with that blowdown and other things. But I truly believe that now, if we started focusing on that instead of fighting this fire, we wouldn't be doing a service to the citizens up here. Absolutely. And it's near and dear to my heart because this is where my family's from. I've been in here before with my daughter buying her a T-shirt, and here we are with this fire, and I want to be back here buying her a T-shirt. So, and I was just talking to the mayor, others people about just the issues that we have for all of our outfitters and businesses up here. So not only do we want to get this fire contained for safety reasons and for this beautiful wilderness, it's also for the tourism business up here. And then we want to make it clear when it's done, because it will be done, that it's a great place to come back here again, and that it's still beautiful in many gorgeous parts, and so we have a strong season coming up in the next year.
I'd just like to reiterate that point. I mean, Ely is not in any danger, and the businesses here and the wonderful beginning of the fall colors is a very good reason for people to be still coming up here as planned or making plans. There are access points which could be detailed where it is still permissible to go into the boundary waters to the west and north of here. So we encourage people to obviously take the precautions. There's a fire ban now, as there should be. But there's other ways to enjoy this area, and we certainly want to emphasize that. I'd also just like to say that the 6 heroes and heroines who just now departed because they had asked that they not be identified by name or by picture, because they, as they said back there, very too modestly, they said there were 6 of 500 people who are putting our lives on the line to fight this fire. But they and all the others who are taking those risks and do so from Minnesota and across this country, we're grateful to you, and want to acknowledge that they're part of this incredible team effort with people who literally are risking their lives for the protection and safety of the rest of us.
One of the things that I want to emphasize, that there was some time where there wasn't the interoperability of radio wave communication, and that's something we can do in Congress and should do, and has been too long in coming, is making sure that first responders have interoperable communication. And that's something I've co-sponsored in the Senate. It's Senator Rockefeller's bill. I think it's very important that, especially in light of the 10th anniversary of 9/11, when we lost firefighters in those towers because of the lack of interoperability, that we need to finally get that done.
Other questions?
Okay. Very good.
Okay, what I would say first, representing the firefighters and all the folks that are here, is thank you for coming. We view this as a very strong team effort. We all work together, be it on the fire line. You'll have all different agencies, all different individuals working together, and you're seeing that demonstrated here at the governor's level and with the senators and congressmen's level, that all part of the team, and we're working together to deal with an incident of challenge that Pagami has brought to us. And that's how we approach these things, in a very, very much a team effort, operating as closely as we can together, from their support that also is felt right down to the firefighters on the ground. And it's greatly appreciated, and I appreciate you taking time out of your very busy schedules to spend a couple hours with us here in Ely, and a chance to be over the Pagami fire. Gives you that context for, we'll continue our conversations beyond. And yes, I look forward to the after-action review we do, and being able to talk and share with you the lessons we learned from this, that we play forward to continue our success in dealing with large challenges that we have, such as Pagami Creek Fire. So thank you very much.
One last comment. I want to pay special tribute also to the Minnesota National Guard. We mobilized, we were told that they put their Black Hawk helicopters, pilots and support crews have put in 130 flying hours, and that they have dropped 130,000 gallons of water to contain this fire. So as we always know, we can always count on the Minnesota Guard to answer in crises the needs of their fellow citizens, and they've done so once again heroically here.
One more question here.
Yeah, just was wondering, do you have a cost so far, estimated cost on it?
Last night, our cost was at $2.2 million at close of business last night. So we'll continue to track that on a daily basis, and we can provide that for you.
And that's the cost for fighting the fire.
For fighting the fire, directly attributed to the Pagami Creek Fire. We're at around 100,000 acres right now. I expect that number, as it will be refined. In the last 2 days, we've had an opportunity to really see this fire, and we'll be down around 85,000 acres, whatever, depending now what happens the next few days to the week, as it continues to grow or expand. But yeah, 2.2 million as of last night, and we can continue to update you with that as well.
And obviously, there's going to be costs of loss of business and things like that in terms of, but I think one of the things, and I just can't reiterate more what the governor said to the people in the Twin Cities that come up here, Ely's still a great place to visit. There's no problems. It's great along the North Shore everywhere in northern Minnesota. It's just this one fire area right now that you can't go into, but the rest of the place is great to visit. We want you up here.
And
All
next
right.
summer, this
Leaves are
Organic Creek will be great to visit as well.
All right.
So thank you very much. We're
Okay,
ready to go.
thank
Thank
you.
you.